All right, so for all the people who like to watch me post, thank you. And I'm sorry it takes me so long to post things of myself. I post a lot of stuff, but I don't post a lot of myself. And I think for a while, I kind of felt like my locks doing something weird. For a while, I got in this rut of like, what do I have to post to provide to people? I haven't done anything. I guess I'm doing what everybody should be doing around this age or around this time. And then I think about it, like, nah, I got the wrong type of energy when I come with this. I have done a lot of things, a lot of good things, a lot of bad things. I graduated high school. Shit always happen. I got my bachelor's degree. I've served almost 15 years in the military. I've been to war. I've I'm the first black person, period, in Arkansas to receive the ATT Memorial Scholarship for veterans. I wrote a book. Uh, I have six beautiful kids, a beautiful wife, and I take damn good care of them. I have two of my two oldest kids. They're not with me. They're with their mother, my ex-wife. Yeah, I do a really good job at my job as an employee, as a parent, and as a husband, and as a person. I do a really good job. I got a lot of things I could talk about. I got a lot of things I should be talking about because there's people out there with similar situations or similar issues like mine. I probably identify with so many people that I don't even realize. Sadly, I grew up technically without my father. It wasn't the best situation, but it was still a situation. Still a situation that I made it out of. I beat the statistic, if that's what I'm trying to say. Um, but yeah, I made it out of that. And I could tell you, I've heard a lot of podcasters talk about how when women raise men, they raise poor men. And that's not entirely true, but it does have a little bit of the truth in it. Being raised by my mother she wasn't always there because she had to work so much. So the streets had to raise me. And whenever she was there, she was insanely crazy about my father. Like even though he had a wife or whatever, whenever he would come over, she would give all of her attention to him. And I would look at it in disgust, but I would also look at it in amazement because although I was disgusted that my mother could easily like bring up her energy for somebody who doesn't even like stay in his house as much, and I do love my father, love him to death. But I was disgusted at that, but I was amazed at the fact that the type of love she had for him, and I thought to myself, I want to be married to somebody in life that loves me as foolishly and as blindly as my mother loved my father. But I want to be married to them. I don't want them to be the side woman. I want to actually be married to that woman. And as I get older, let's get back to being raised by your mother. So they say men that are raised by their moms they don't regulate their emotions or they have issues regulating their emotions. That's also not always true, but it does have some truth in it. So I'm a very logical person. I'm a very cut and dry person, but I have moments in life where I cannot regulate my emotions, and that is a bad thing for a man because it is, in my opinion, men shouldn't be moved by emotions. Emotions we should feel emotion, but we should be regulated by logic, and that's just how I feel. But there's a lot of things I missed out on. I never really got that father son type of talk. I was never talked about. I was never informed about sex. I was never. I probably I maybe only went fishing with my pops twice in my life, and he lived probably less than 8 miles from my house. And to this day, in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, I still don't know where my dad lives. Now I could easily ask him, but a part of me doesn't want to know where he lives because if I see his house, then I'm not gonna ever intrude. Put it that way. I would have to be invited to my father's house. I would never intrude. I do realize that the creations that he had with my mother, making me and some of my siblings, the creation that he had with my mother is a slap in the face to his actual family. And I don't want to do that to anybody. I wouldn't want that done to me if I was on the other end. Now, if I was on the other end, I would like to know all my siblings because I am really big on siblinghood. I'm really big on family, so it's important to me. Was my mother perfect? No, but she was the hardest working person you're ever going to see in life. You would ever see. She passed away about 7 years ago, right before my son Reese was born, a month before. She passed away. I think we buried her February 14th. Yeah, my son was born March 9th. But yeah, but so her energy level was so high. She had the ability to take her energy like to an insane level and do whatever she saw fit. Whether it was she was extremely nice to people. Now the mother we saw at home was her anger was a little bit high because she was so stressed out. Like people didn't see the other side of my mother. My mother had multiple sides to her, and she gave the world a really good gift. She gave the world like a very friendly side of her. Now she would still curse you out, but her passion to like be in the public eye was very, very high. And it would make sense. My mother was Miss Watson Chapel in Pine Bluff. She was a Golden Girl. I think she was actually even Miss UAPB. I'm not sure. But she was really good. Man, she had 3 kids already. My oldest 3 siblings. 3 kids by herself. 3 kids by herself. Taking care of my grandmother, my grandfather, her brother who's a little off. We love him to death. She would take care of the rest of her siblings. She'd pay bills for them, do all that stuff. And she put herself through nursing school and then went and got her BS. She was so good at it to where students would come to our house. Nursing students would come to our house and she would be teaching them from the book and she wouldn't even be reading it. She just knew everything about nursing. She had the ability to fully lock in and just be great at it. And that's something I really respected in my mother. And that's something that I tried to adopt. Whenever I'm locked into something, I don't know what version you're gonna get, but you're gonna get the hardest working version of me if I'm locked in on something. And if you ever experienced me when I wasn't locked in, I apologize because you missed out on some really good intelligence. But yeah, I think I connect with a lot of people because not having him was really difficult. I felt like I missed a lot of moments that I saw other people have, and I felt like why not me, or why not us, my siblings, and it was hard. Growing up in the hood, everything was hood, so me not being hood kind of made me not fit in. The only thing that made me fit in was my athleticism. I was just a natural athlete. I was good at a lot of things, and it allowed me to fit in. But outside of that, I was a unicorn. I didn't know any music. I didn't have cable, so I didn't know what was happening in wrestling or BET or MTV. Didn't know any of the new cool songs. I can't dance. I was just weird. And so not only was I sort of not seen at home, I was also not seen in school unless I was doing something very athletic or got a great academic achievement. But it was really hard for me fitting in, and I had to like make my way. And I think that rough exterior that I have now is mainly because of my time being an oddball. I had to build calluses for insults. I had to build calluses for being turned down by a girl after asking her out the proper way. I took a lot of L's, and I take L's even to this day, like all the time. But like the core of me is like a real soldier. Like I'm a real warrior out here. I die for my kids, and I'm not talking about figuratively. I'm talking about literally. I may not be the best parent. I'm not saying that I am, but man, would I love to have had me as a father growing up. Sometimes I'm a bit tough on my boys. I have 6 boys. Sometimes I'm a bit tough, but the toughness comes from it comes from like a little bit of fear, not necessarily fear, but like a fear and a motivation type of thing. Because when I was growing up, I felt like if I wasn't good at something, people wouldn't notice me. So that was my fear. My fear of not being noticed made me want to achieve academically. My fear of not being noticed made me want to be a great athlete. My fear of not being noticed made me understand the world of being a gentleman or being chivalric. Um, my fear of not being noticed kind of made me comply with things to get me the attention that I desperately needed. It's attention that I even desperately need to this day. I'm just a little bit more chill about it now. I don't need as much validation, although that is a small cap. Everybody needs validation in something. So I'm just going to say there's cap, a little bit of cap on that. And, but yeah, a failed first marriage, I'm pretty sure I can relate with a lot of people. If you say that I can't relate with a lot of people, then you're lying, because the divorce rate is extremely high. I'm just saying. First marriage, I was an absolute shit show. I didn't show up to the party. I was just basically just like a monster that wasn't present, but present when I needed anything that I needed. And so it was just a bad transaction. But once again, I can relate with a lot of people. Even in that, even when being the fool, if you're paying attention, you can grab certain things while being a fool and make them learning lessons. And that's what I did. I took everything that I did wrong, everything, and I had to take a real, I had to get a real image of who I was, not who I thought I was, but who I was. So looking in the mirror was really, really hard, and it's even hard, like to this day. I still work on certain things, but I had to take a real hard look, because I did not want the next woman I married. I wanted her to, for one, never see that person old me, and 2, I didn't want them ever to I wanted them to have like the best experience possible, right? 3, I was gonna make sure that I treat her as the queen that I felt like she is, and I know that she is. Like my wife today, I treat her like a queen. We have our debates or whatever, but if you were to ask her, there's nothing she could tell you. There's nothing that I wouldn't do for her, at the expense of myself at times. And so I'm that dude. I really am. I'm really that dude. I learned, I guess, I felt like if I had the father that I'm connecting with you guys on, I would have learned some of these things a little bit earlier, because I would have had like a mentor maybe. Or if I had a strong familial system, like my mother also had a lot of siblings, but they weren't exactly close. Like we did things, but it was never love in it. Like it was it was love, but it wasn't like, man, let me give you a hug type of love. Man, let me tell me what's going on in your life type of love. It wasn't that type of love. And I think that's the best love you can have when you're growing up in the family. That you can talk to an uncle and be like, hey, I feel like X, Y, Z, or I need advice on this, woo to woo. And I feel like my siblings are better at that only because of what we experience. Like having all these uncles and aunts, but no real family connection. It was weird. It's like having a whole bunch of branches on a tree, but the branches come from different trees on one tree. That's how weird it was. And I think my siblings were so much better at it, although we can still improve. But yeah, I got a lot of stuff I could talk about. I could talk about failed marriages, being married, the struggles of being married, the icks of being married from a man's perspective, being married to an educator. Uh, I could talk about so many different things, and I think instead of me worrying about not feeling like I'm connecting with somebody, I'm actually gonna start just putting my information or putting my logic and my knowledge out there, because I do believe that what I'm saying and the things I have to say could possibly be beneficial to somebody, and I'm really not even reaching them because I'm afraid of what I think I'm not capable of doing, which is weird. But yeah, and oh, I graduated college from a Christian school, Central Baptist College in Conway. Love that school to death. Love that school to death. I got my bachelor's degree from there, and I'm currently working on the master's. But not there because it's a college. Colleges only take you to your bachelor's. Universities take you to your master's and doctorates. But yeah, I'm Steven, and I'm going to start introducing you to the real me. I wish y'all would have known me when my hairline was actually like right there, because it looked so much more cooler. And I had short hair at the time, I had some waves that was popping, but you got to deal with the hairline you got, okay? I can't change it. I'm not going to pay to get it done, so yeah. All right, peace.